Increasing turbulence as a result of the recession in organisations is causing many organisations to experience increased political activity. Now, this is the subject we're going to have a look at today with Dr. Martin Clarke. Martin is an expert both in politics, and he's written a book about this, and putting this into practice within organisations and what this means for organisations. Now, Martin, have you seen an increase in politics in organisations?
Yes, I think politics are an inevitable part of organisational life. They reflect strong opinions, differences of opinion. The issue is, of course, that what recession does is to, if you like, draw these differences of opinion to the surface, because people will have different views about what's right or wrong, whether we should be closing a branch, where we should be increasing marketing spend, reducing training and development, whatever it is. These are all legitimate ideas. The extra difficulty comes in so much that recession tends to decrease people's tolerance for actually working with those differences of opinion. So how can you gain agreement? How can you get some committed action when the stakes are high and differences are rife?
So it sounds like you define politics in a very certain way. One has to say a lot of people would see politics in really quite a negative light.
If we think about politics in a governmental sense, what is it about? It's about the competitive positioning of causes. So the Labour Party, the Green Movement, the gay lobby are all positioning their causes. If we think about what we do all day long as managers, it's exactly that. We are fighting for time, we're fighting for ideas, resources, people, money, ideas, all sorts of things. So whether we like it or not, we are all politicians. We have choices, though, about the way we make those political decisions. So, for example, if you were finding that there is some pressure to reduce headcount in your department, a constructive political politician would, of course, go about trying to argue the case that that would be a bad thing, to lobby for support, to benchmark the value they add against other organisational activities. What you've got to be able to do is to be able to demonstrate balanced motives, to be able to say that what you're doing is for the benefit of others and that the means are judged to be acceptable by others. The difficulty is, as we've said, of course, that when you start to position your ideas about saving your department, people see what you're doing as being divisive or somehow self-interested.
Now, some people would say you're either a born politician or you're not. I take it, I imagine that you would say there's something beyond that you can actually learn and do something about.
Absolutely right. The starting point, if you like, may seem a bit perverse or contradictory. What you have to be able to do in order to work with that political dissension is to actually embrace the constructive nature of politics. So what does that mean in practice? Well, the first starting point perhaps is to, if you like, to be aware of the political zeitgeist, if you like, in any organisation, to be able to read other people's agendas, to be able to see what's the critical business issues, to be able to understand the important timeframes. And once having got that understanding, you're then in a position to decide how to use that in recession.
Can I just stop you then?
Sure.
How actually do you get hold of this? I mean, assuming some people are very good at it, but the ability to actually read the subtleties and nuances of politics seems to me quite difficult.
It's about increasing your interpersonal awareness and lifting your head above the task. It's something, I think, a mindset shift, if you like, to recognise that, do we work on the premise that all organisations are neatly aligned places with people rowing in the same direction, singing off the same hymn sheet, or in fact are they places of a multitude of interests that actually are important to the survival of organisations?
If I just look at this situation then, I've sussed it, I've looked at it, what should managers then do?
Well, having equipped yourself with that understanding, you're then in a position to decide, if you like, when is debate about an important issue going to enable the organisation or disable it by sucking up too much management time and attention. You'd be better placed to decide, well, when might a short-term compromise enable you to get an expedient solution to move debate along? Or perhaps when it's important to force a decision through because you have to kill debate in order to get people to arrive at a conclusion very quickly. Or sometimes, of course, even to roll over and to decide, well, actually, I won't pursue this anymore. What I'll do is quietly further plan B. in fact, I mean, I'll give you an example of that with an organisation I'm working with at the moment. There's a successful business, but one business unit is losing a lot of money. And the person that I've been working with has been trying to raise the level of debate about this issue, but unsuccessfully so far because of those differing agendas. So what she's decided to do, because she realises that it is in fact disabling the organisation, it's creating too much focus on this area, distracting people from other value-adding activities during a session. What she's decided to do is to go ahead with to secure a more short-term expedient solution that enables, if you like, the logjam to be freed. Now, what she's going to do is take a longer-term view about that and see how she can come back to it in the future. Her ability to do this has been dependent on the way she's been able to read the political situation in the business at this time.
Now, I'm interested in finding out what people gauge themselves to be political or not political. Assuming that we have to go ahead with this, politics is a reality. Would you expect to do this day in, day out? Would you expect to kind of practice this and it becomes part and parcel of your repertoire?
Absolutely. This is, politics is not something you do on a Friday afternoon. You've got to recognise it as a legitimate organisational activity and build a mindset and a way of working around it, and that includes, as I've said, the central idea that actually in order to be able to reduce some political dissension you have to embrace politics as a positive activity to reduce the negative self-serving aspect of politics, which, for example, we can see in government circles at the moment through the expenses furore is actually being a result of people seeing politicians focusing only on self-interest. If you can focus your activities on things which are of value to others, whilst at the same time they may be valuable to you, that helps people see that what you're doing is legitimate. And what flows from that is the importance of being able to build relationships, to lobby your ideas, to be interested in what others people have to say, being interested in other people's politics, in order to secure collective agreement at the appropriate time.
Martin, thank you.
Thank you.